Hey y'all, Rajava the Rulaa back with another one. And as you can see, the setup has changed, so we are switching up the flow for today. So I posted in my community section about doing an hour with the Rulaa. And today is going to be the first episode, and our first topic is going to be, do snitches get stitches? Now, when it comes to how people feel about snitching, you have people on both sides of the fence. You have some people who are pro snitching, and you have some people who are con snitching, and for so many different reasons. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive into the culture of snitches getting stitches, and if it's something that we should leave in the Stone Ages, or if it's something that will always stand against the times. Y'all sit tuned. We about to get to it. I posted in my community tab about the segment that I was gonna do, and I allowed my subscribers to give their input so that they can be a part of this too, because y'all support me. So I want y'all to be a part of everything that I do. Now, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to tell you my stance on it and how I feel about it. Now, when it comes to snitching, I do feel like it is part of the culture. Like, it is something that's been embedded since the beginning of time. Like, you just don't talk. Like, if you do the crime, you do the time. If 2 or 3 people, they run down and they commit a crime together and one of y'all get caught, like, you just the one that got caught. So that's on you, player. Like, you got to go ahead and take that to the chin. Like, take one for the team, so to speak. And then you have people who are like, I ain't finna do it. If all 3 of us do it together and I get caught and y'all know we did it together, like, why would y'all let me go down by myself? If we all did it together and I got to go to prison, we should all go to prison, right? Now, I feel a few ways about it when it comes to snitching. Honestly, I just feel like if 3 people get caught, if 3 people commit a crime together, okay, y'all conspire to go rob this convenience store, right? So y'all hold them up at gunpoint. You're like, give me all the money, give me the loot. Empty out the cash register. They give you the cash register. One of your homeboys get a little too trigger happy and they end up shooting the cashier. Y'all ain't going there planning to kill this man, okay? And it's like, now you just shot this man. That was not part of the plan, so that's on you. So after it all goes down, now you got a robbery with the firearm and you got a murder, okay? And felony murder is something where if you commit a crime and somebody dies, you get charged with felony murder, whether you were the person that killed them or not. That's just the way it goes. So if you and your partner commit a crime and say y'all running away and the cashier shoots your partner and you get away, if they catch you, you're going to get charged with felony murder for your homeboy dying, even though the cashier shot him. So my take on it is, if all of us do this and then we run and we go our separate ways, right? And I get caught and y'all get away and they grab me and they like, we know it was you. They said it was 3 people. Who was the other people? What bothers me the most about snitching is it's not something where it's like, you tell us because that's what's best for the society. We need to get these people off the street because they committed a crime and all of y'all will be, punished accordingly. When it comes to snitching, every single time they get somebody to snitch, they offer them something. So you tell them, I get caught because for whatever reason I was slipping on my pimping. I wasn't as good as being camouflaged as my compadres. They knew how to move and get away, and I was a little too loose-lipped because I wanted to talk about it, or I wanted to flash my cash, or I robbed this convenience store, been broke all my life. Now I'm out here buying jewelry, I'm buying car, or whatever it is that you buying, that people can link the fact that you robbed that convenience store because of how you moving now compared to how you was moving before. Whereas your other 2 friends, they knew better. They knew I ain't never had no money. I done robbed this convenience store. I got a little cash stored away. I'm gonna sit that to the side, everything die down, then I'm gonna start, moving this money and I'm gonna do what I need to do. But you ain't got the sense God tried to give you. So you out here showing the whole community that you was a part of that, because they know it's like, you ain't been had no money run trail. So how you got money all of a sudden? So you've been moving funny, people have been talking, and now they come pick you up because of your own doings, or you pillow talking with your girlfriend and you done let it slip, or y'all end up killing somebody and you so shook, you go to your cousin's house and you venting to them because you just can't believe what went down, or whatever the case may be. Or you left your shoe at the crime, or it was your car that they was driving. So however you slipped on your pimping, right? So they end up catching you. Now they get you in this room and they go to telling you, you know, we know this, we know that, this was you, this blah, 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 we got this witness, we got that, we got this evidence, and they telling you all this stuff. So now you in here and you shook, and they like, if you tell us who the other two was, we'll give you probation, or we'll give you a lighter sentence. We'll only give you X amount of time instead of 20, 30, 40 years. We'll only give you 7, 5, 10, whatever the agreement is that they give you, or you can go home scot-free. And because you feel like you do not want to spend the next 20, 30, 40 years in prison, because that's what they're going to give you, okay? If they have enough evidence, especially when they get you and they offer you the chance to snitch and you do not tell, honey, they gonna put a rope around your neck and hang you. That's just the name of the game. So you don't want to do all this time. You end up telling on your homeboys, and then you end up getting you some probation, only doing 5 years. Now these boys got 40, 50 life sentences and all of that. And it's like, how I feel about snitching is, it's a self-preservation tactic. Like, it's something that a lot of people do because it's like, I don't want to do the time. I don't want to go to prison. I don't want to go to prison for 30, 40 years. I don't want to do that much time. Like, I can't go to prison. I got a baby. I got a family. I got an old lady, or whatever it is. Or my mother's sick, or my grandma's getting old and I won't be able to see my grandma, or whatever the case may be, for whatever reason that you give. And it's like, you justify telling on your homeboys. Now, let's talk about it, okay? Let's talk about it. For one, if you're gonna be out here moving any kind of way, it don't matter if it's criminal activity, if it's in a business, if it's in the corporate world, if it's on a farm, whatever business you decide to do and partake in, you need to do that to the best of your ability, okay? If you're going to be a criminal and you're going to commit crimes, you need to learn how to be the best criminal, or you might as well just stop committing crime, because what are you trying to go to prison? And if you know you're committing crimes, okay, why is it that when you get caught and they give you the chance to sing, you start going Beyonce? Your mama was sick when you was out there running around in them streets committing them crimes. You knew your old lady was having a baby when you was out there robbing them stores. You knew it was a possibility that it can happen. And it's like, my problem with snitching is, because you don't want to do it, but you willingly participate in the crime, you would give away your two homeboys who had enough sense that God gave them to find a way not to get caught up. But you, for whatever reason, got caught slipping on your pimping, and now you feel like it's okay for you to tell, because it's like, oh, well, we all did it together. But you the one got caught, my friend. You the one got caught. Okay? It's sad that you got caught. It's a horrible situation, but you got caught. Why you want to tell on everybody else? You should have just been a law-abiding citizen. If you know you can't go to prison and you know you can't do the time, like, go to church, okay? That's my problem with snitching. And then the other back end of it is, you have law enforcement where they will willingly give you a lesser sentence if you help them. Now, my problem with that is, you should not be able to bend the law in your favor when you don't bend the law in my favor, which the Constitution does not uphold law enforcement. It upholds our individual rights as a person. So you can bend the Constitution to support you, but the Constitution was written to support me. But you will violate my constitutional rights to help your agenda. But you won't violate the Constitution and the rights that I'm supposed to have to help me. I could have been the one that shot the person. My other homeboys didn't even know what was going on. I could have been the one that shot the person at the cash register because I got a little too trigger happy, fingers itching. And you'll give me 5 years, you'll give me probation, you'll give me 10 years. And now they got to get 30 and 40. But I'm the one that shot the man because I cooperated, because I complied. You'll give me a lesser sentence, and that is my problem with snitching on both sides. When you commit a crime, you know what life you're living. You know what the possibilities is. Everybody knows. You commit a crime, you go to jail. Okay? That's just a fact. And on the police's end, how is it okay for you to manipulate a statute that is put in place to protect me and society to serve your own agenda? I just don't understand it. Is it something that culture has taught us that it's okay? Like, snitches get stitches, so it's like taboo to tell. I feel like it's taboo to tell for multiple reasons, because the people that are telling are not telling because they're law-abiding citizens and they want to keep the community pure. They're not telling because it affected them in a way that they had no parts in it and they just want to make sure justice is served. That is not why people tell. People get in there and tell for self-preservation, and there's an issue with that. If I go out and I'm running around acting crazy and the police catch me and my homegirl gets away, it is not okay for me to tell on her. It is not okay for me to tell on her so that I can go home soon and she can get 30 to 40 years. It is not okay for you to willingly commit a crime with somebody and then when you get caught, you sang just to save yourself. Because if you can't do any prison time or you do not want to go to jail, stop committing crimes. They run the street life and they brag about being gangster and they act like they hard and they live this whole lifestyle like they some type of thug gangster. They making all this money. I'm about that life, or I do this, or I do this to them. If somebody try me, I lay them down like this, or my ops know better than to play with me. Like, you live this whole lifestyle as if you're about that life. But when that lifestyle comes to collect, because it always does, you ain't got no money. Your bank account say insufficient funds. And now you want to tap into somebody else's bank account because your mouth wrote a check that your ass can't cash. And y'all want people to feel like it's okay for me to throw you under the bus because I don't want to get ran over by it. But I was the one laying in the street with you. We was laying in the street together. We both knew it was a possibility that the bus was coming. But I get up and let you lay down when we agreed to lay there together. So I have an issue with that. And as far as there being like a street cred or a street code as far as snitching, honestly, that goes out the window. When you get in that room with that officer and they start telling you what can happen to you, what they'll do to you, and the opportunities and options that they give you when you sit in that room, you not thinking about how the streets gonna feel about you telling or not telling. You not thinking about, oh, if I keep it real, they gonna think I'm a G. They gonna think I'm solid. You not thinking about, if I tell, somebody gonna harm my family or somebody gonna harm me. You're not thinking about how nobody feel about the decision you finna make. Because, and I speak from experience, because I was the person in that room. I was the person in that room, okay? I sat in the room with those two officers on that task force, and they did the same thing, had the same conversation with me. They tried to first 48 me too. And as I sat in there and they told me, we know you have nothing to do with it. You're such a young girl. We'll let you go home right now. Charges will be dropped. No charges will be processed if you agree to work with us against your co-defendant. And when I told them, I'm ready to go back upstairs, they told me, well, we'll put you on that same ship with him and we'll sink y'all together. Now, you was just telling me you knew I ain't have nothing to do with it. But now you're telling me that you'll sink me even though you know I had nothing to do with it. And they did, in fact, sink me. But when I was sitting in that room, I didn't think about, oh, the hood gonna judge me or they gonna feel some type of way if I tell. I wasn't thinking like, oh, if I go to prison and I don't tell, that I'm gonna be labeled as solid or as 100. Or I wasn't thinking about none of them people and what they was considering. I didn't think about how people was gonna look at me about the decision I made. I didn't think about how somebody was gonna judge me based off the decision that I had to make right there in that moment. People was not a thought in my mind. So we talk about this as, oh, it's a cultural thing. When you get in that room, you ain't worrying about no culture. You ain't worried about nobody. You not caring about how many memes they gonna make of you. You don't care about how many people gonna talk about you, judge you. None of that. All you thinking about is them 20, 30 years that they offer you in that room. When your life flash before your eyes like that, your freedom flash before your eyes like that, I can guarantee you there is no one sitting there like, oh no, I ain't gonna tell because I wanna be seen as solid. I wanna be seen as a real nigga. Not one person. Now, you might have those thoughts immediately after the fact. After you make that decision, then you might thinking like, oh yeah, they're gonna think I'm solid. But while you making that decision and they flashing your life before your eyes, baby, that is not a people, it's not a thought. It is not a thought. So let's jump into some of these comments. Y'all know my take on it. Let's jump into some of these comments. All right. The first one says, the idea that not snitching is a badge of honor, especially if I take the rap for someone or something I did not do. The invisible concept of street honor that does not come with any tangible rewards, only trauma and devastation, while the real predator walks away, not reaping what he should have reaped in the situation. Speak on that. What I see a lot when it comes to people talking about, oh, snitching, is they talk about being convicted or being put away for a crime that they didn't commit, that somebody else committed. I'm not really sure what type of situations y'all think happens. I don't know if you think you're just like a random person walking on the street and then somebody next to you does something and then y'all go to jail together. That's not how it happens. Like, you're not some random person. It's not where you walk in a convenience store and somebody is robbing the convenience store and they take both of y'all to jail because it's like, oh, you was there, so you had something to do with it. That's not the situation. Just because you're somewhere and something happens, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have anything to do with it or you'll be arrested. So most times, now there is situations where you're somewhere and that does happen. It has happened to people. But for the majority, when you're picked up with someone or with multiple people, it's because you had a hand in there some way. It don't matter if you had a small hand or a big hand. You had a hand in it. So you getting arrested and the other person not getting arrested, and you're saying that you don't want to go down for a crime you didn't commit. If y'all willingly went somewhere together, that is a crime you willingly committed. You committed that crime. In the eyes of the law, if two of us are together and I'm sitting in the car and you run in there and you shoot somebody and you come get back in the car and I drive away and I know what you just did, whether I was sitting in the car and I was like, why you did, y'all did that together, okay? Y'all did that together. Now, in a situation where you honestly did not know he was finna get out and he was finna go shoot that man, you didn't know, you thought he was going in there to buy a soda, but he ended up shooting somebody and killing him and getting in the car with you. Once you drive away, you are accessory after the fact. You are accessory after the fact. They will not charge you with murder, okay? Because you didn't kill somebody, but they will charge you to accessory after the fact. That is a crime you committed. You didn't know he was going in there to commit that crime, but once you drive away, you heard that gunshot, you see him run out and jump in your car, and you drive away, you are accessory after the fact because you helped a murderer get away. So if y'all get caught and y'all go to jail, he dead wrong for going in there and doing what he did and you not knowing. But once you willingly drove away, your charge is accessory after the fact, not his. Y'all got two different charges. Two completely different charges. They run about the same in punishment, but it's two completely different charges. So saying that you're not going to take the charge that someone committed, if y'all are together and y'all together, y'all, like I said, go agree to rob this convenience store, they shoot somebody. Now they want to charge you with murder. You didn't shoot nobody, but y'all robbed that store together. What y'all think happens in robbery? Like, it's a lot of people who you go rob somebody and somebody ended up getting killed and it's like, I didn't know they was gonna die. What you thought was gonna happen? It's people that would definitely buck the jack. You can't put a gun on everybody and say, give me everything you got and think that every single person is gonna go in their pocket and give it to you. You got some people that's gonna make you earn everything in their pocket. You got some people who gonna buck the jack. They not giving it to you. Then what you gonna do? You gonna either take off running and try to find you another mark that's a lot easier, or you gonna and take what you came for. But if you out here and you committing crimes, you have to know that there is no guarantee on how it's gonna end or what's going to happen. My issue is when you willingly out here committing crimes and then when the going get tough, you wanna tell on everybody else because you don't wanna go to prison. Snitching codes are for people in the life, not everyday people who are victims or witnesses. I understand why everyday people are afraid to tell sometimes because they don't feel protected, but I believe crime overtakes our communities because of this no snitching culture. Now, what's not, okay, so it is considered snitching, but it's a different form of snitching, okay? If you're in a convenience store, right, and somebody coming there, people coming there, they rob the place and they shoot the cashier. If you was just walking around shopping and this just randomly happened while you was in there, and you tell the police and give them a statement, listen, snitching is snitching, but that is understandable. That is understandable because, for one, you don't have no skin in the game. You're not maliciously doing this. You're not doing it to save yourself. You're doing it because you're trying to save your community. You're trying to save the people that's around you. You're trying to get this person off the street. I don't see an issue with that. I really do not. If you witness something and it didn't have anything to do with you and you was just there and you tell, I don't see anything wrong with that, because I feel like when it comes to telling, that's the only type of telling people should be doing. When you see an injustice and you do something about it. Now, I'm the type of person, I'm gonna mind my business for the most part. Now, if you're doing something to the elderly or you're doing something to kids, I'm not minding my business. I am not minding my business. I'm going to tell on you. If I'm somewhere and I'm in a hospital and I see a CNA abusing an old person, oh, I'm telling on you. I am telling on you, because why is you doing that to that lady? If I'm anywhere and I witness somebody harming a child, you're getting told on. So if you're a bystander and you see something, I don't see nothing wrong with that. Because once again, if you out here committing crimes, okay, them people not committing crimes. They scared. They don't want to worry about if I'm going to be shopping at racetrack down the street and Lil John going to run in there and accidentally shoot me. Because he too high his mind. Me personally, I'm not going to jail for nobody. You're going to have to find me to give me them stitches. Now, if I participated in the crime, then that's a different. I'm going to do my time and charge it to the game. My sentiments exactly. If you did the crime, that's on you, my boy. But if you ain't had nothing to do with it, and something just so happens, okay? Or say the person ran in there, they robbed the store, you ain't hit no gunshots or nothing, they come get in your car, y'all chilling, you don't know what happened. Y'all just, you know, chilling, hanging out. They get your car description, y'all hanging on the block, they roll up guns, like, you know, don't nobody move. And you like, well, what's going on? They're like, oh, y'all robbed the convenience store. If you like, I ain't even going to the store. I don't feel like it's nothing wrong with that, because, honey, listen, I didn't know nothing about you going in there and taking money, because you didn't bust down with me. You didn't come in the car and give me my half. So, my boy, go ahead and let them know what's tea. I don't feel like there's nothing wrong with it. I feel like there's something wrong when you agree to participate in a crime and then you tell to save yourself. If I had absolutely nothing to do with it, like the situation with me and my co-defendant, I did not sell drugs, okay? It had nothing to do with me. Yes, I was in that car. Yes, I rode with him. All right? And honestly, if I could have told on him, I would have. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't see me sitting on the stands testifying. I just couldn't do it. But if I would have been able to pick up something in me and tell, I wouldn't have felt bad. Because I don't sell drugs, sir. I do not sell drugs. I am not de la drug dealer. I just couldn't tell on him. But if I would have, I wouldn't care how nobody felt about it. My thought is not snitching, even from people in street life, is a myth in large part. It sounds good for storytelling, and maybe even a few live by it. For the most part, when they get in the interrogation room and the drugs start wearing off and the police start talking about 30 years without, even the toughest and roughest go to talking. Facts. Facts. We talk about the no snitching, but honey, listen, there is very few people who live by that code. There are plenty of people who quote the code, who probably got it tatted on their chest, tatted on their forehead. It's plenty of people who swear their life by it, will put their hand on a stack of Bibles and say, I would never tell. But there is very few people who stand by that code, and that is facts. When they get in that interrogation room and them officers go to throwing out them football numbers, they telling. They definitely telling, okay? That is a hard pill to swallow, to know that your yay or nay has the power to ruin your life. That is a lot of power. So the toughest and the roughest, and normally the toughest and the roughest is not the toughest and the roughest. They just the loudest. They just the most flamboyant. But most of the people who commit crimes don't want to do a day in jail. As soon as they get arrested, they think they in the backseat of the police car like, "Ooh, I can tell on." Okay, so yeah, the plug. What's his phone number? I can get that out my phone. He live at this address. Okay, who else if he not good enough? I think he get his drugs from so-and-so that live out of state. Dang, oh yeah, he called them by this name. Like, they be already in the back of the police car with their handcuffs on, thinking about who they finna tell, because it's like, I ain't going to prison. I ain't finna go down. They already be knowing. Like, they be out there in the game doing this stuff day to day, committing crimes day to day. And they already have you mapped out in their head. Like, they roll with you they homeboy, or they get their supply from you, and already in the back of their mind, if I ever get picked up, I'm telling on Tommy. Like, all at your house looking around. Like, okay, he keep that over there. Like, they already be having a game plan. They be having an exit strategy. An exit strategy, and you be the exit. But that's your homeboy, though. That's your homeboy, but he already plotting to put you up under that bus. Okay, the next one says, if your non-aiming goofy out here shooting kids and innocent civilians who not in that life, you deserve to be caught. If we both do a crime and you tell on me, that's snitching, but there's no honor amongst these. So you know that's possibility dealing in criminal activity. So it's blowback for snitching though. Facts. Facts. If you out here shooting random people and somebody telling you, I have no sympathy. I'm not even finna call them people a snitch. I'm not. I'm not calling them people a snitch if you out here in broad daylight and you shooting at your op at this block party and all these people is around and you just start shooting and you hit random innocent people and people tell on you. I'm not even gonna call them a snitch. I don't feel sorry for you, because them people ain't got no parts in that life. Now, of course it happens. Unfortunately, it happens, but no. I completely agree with this comment. But if we do the crime and you tell on me, that's snitching. That is. If we both out here shooting at the op and all these civilians out here, you hit one, I don't, or I hit one, you don't, and you tell on me so you can go home, yeah, that's snitching. But they say, I don't like the comment, there's no honor amongst thieves. There's really no honor, period. Not just amongst thieves. There are square, law-abiding citizens who have no honor. There's no honor in business. There's no honor in friendship. There's no honor in marriage. There's no honor in anything. Honor is in the eye of the beholder. It's up to the person to have morals, values, a sense of, I'm going to do what's right regardless of the consequences. Ain't no honor amongst people, okay? Not just thieves. Ain't no honor in general. How about define snitching? Because I don't think everyone has the same definition. To me, snitching is being involved in the act/crime. You get caught and tell on everybody else that helps you. However, I seen people say snitching is telling on anyone that was involved in the act/crime in which the person who told was not involved. This is not snitching to me. That's a witness. It's all grouped together as snitching, but I would 100% have to agree with this comment. There are people who are going to disagree with us, but I agree. I feel like snitching is when we do a crime together and I tell on you to save myself. That's what I would consider the taboo version of snitching. People will still call you a snitch if you're an eyewitness and you had nothing to do with it. They still gonna be like, oh, you a snitch. But I honestly, I like the way you put that. Like, if we do the crime together and I tell on you, or you tell on me, that's a snitch. But if you see something happening, you had nothing to do with it, that's an eyewitness, we gonna roll with that. I like that. I like that because, once again, if these people are not in the life and you recklessly committing crimes and they tell on you, what you thought was gonna happen? Them people not living by no code. They not about that life. They not even trying to play like they about that life. You not about that life either, but at least they not putting on a mask and trying. So I agree. If you ain't got nothing to do with it and you tell, you're eyewitness. I like that. When it comes to snitching, I'd rather just mind my own business. Snitching can get you and possibly your family hurt or killed. Facts. I was locked up with a girl who cannot return to her hometown because she was a stripper and she set this man up to get robbed. The man ended up getting killed. They got a whole lot of money and stuff off of him. And he was like a high status man, and she cannot return home when she come home from prison because they gonna do something to her. And I was in prison with a lot of women like this who had to relocate. So when I was locked up in prison and I talked about how I wasn't going home and I was relocating to Jacksonville, when people say stuff like that, a lot of people felt like I was running from somebody, like something had happened. And even though I was saying that I didn't tell on my co-defendant, a lot of people probably still feel like it was capped. Like, girl, you told on that man because why else is you relocating? But facts, you do have some people, it just depends on the level of in the game they is, because you got some people who down here at the bottom, you know, just be out here for show, making a few dollars, ain't really making no noise, been selling dime bags and nickel bags since way back when. Like, you're not a drug dealer. I just don't know what you is. But you have people who down here, and then you have people who up here, like, I'm talking about making that guap, like really bought that life. And you can't be telling on everybody, because some people, you may get away with it and they be like, okay, he a snitch. But other people, it ain't that simple. You tell on them and you got to hide. Witness protection. Like, that is real. And sometimes you know the people you can't tell on, and you like, yeah, homeboy don't play or homegirl don't play. And then sometimes you feel like, oh, I'm going to be okay, I'm going to get away with it, and you don't. So you really don't know. When you tell it on people, you really don't know who going to retaliate. Or if they family going to retaliate, because you just don't know. So it definitely is a possibility that something can happen to you and your family when it comes to snitching. So it's a sad truth, but how I feel, I'm not going to say I feel like snitches deserve stitches, but you wrong for just telling on people. You know y'all did it together, and now you just want to tell on them because you don't want to do no time. Because I don't like wishing bad on nobody, but you knew better. You can't just feel like you can ruin someone's life and nothing happened to you. Because what people have to understand is people that lose their life every day, it be over simple everyday stuff. You know, like you took his girl, or you got a lot of money so they want it, or you was flagging at the club, y'all beefing, or like it's so many different things. Like just a quick misunderstanding, you didn't even know this person, but a quick misunderstanding because somebody bumped into you or whatever it is. It's so many reasons that people lose their life all the time. So what will make you think it's uncommon for someone to lose their life when you ruin someone's life? Not just get that baby mama pregnant, not just because you got some money and they want it, but you ruin their entire life. Like, you are the reason that they do not have freedom, or why their cousin doesn't have freedom. People lose their life for the simplest stuff. I've seen somebody in my hometown who died over a lighter. He got shot over a lighter. A lighter. Y'all better give people their lighter back. A lighter, okay? The next one says, snitching has always been a part of the game. It will always be a part of the game. So if you want to be foolish and commit crimes that you have to rely on someone else not to tell on you, that's on you. Also, I think it's okay. Young people need to know that there is no loyalty in the streets at all for itself. Also, people that kill people should be in jail. My law-abiding ass does not want to be caught in a crossfire that involves someone that would be in jail if someone told. Gang and street culture needs to come to an end. FYI, Gunna hasn't snitched yet. Oh, Lord have mercy. Now that I am a law-abiding citizen, I think I can call myself a law-abiding citizen even though I'm on probation. I mean, I abide by the law. I don't even speed, honey. But I always think about, like, the life that I lived catching up to me. Like, now that I go to work, like, I treat people the way I want to be treated. I'm not in any drama, any violence. I don't deal in drugs. I don't drink. So now that I'm living a good life, sometimes I feel like that life is gonna catch up to me, and I'm gonna be at the wrong place at the wrong time, and I'm gonna be someone that ends up getting robbed, or I'm gonna be someone that they try to kidnap, but I'm fighting, okay? You try to put me in the car, I'm fighting. Nah, if they try to take my money, you can have it, but if you talking about get in the car, I'm not getting in the car. I'm not getting in the car. I ain't no telling what you gonna do to me. Like, getting in the car is worse than you just unaliving me right here at the scene, because at least I'm done. You know, I get to talk to the Lord in a few, but me getting in the car, ain't no telling what you gonna do to me. You ain't finna chain me up in your basement for, no. So, but I do understand this comment. Like, people who don't live a life of crime, like, it's scary for them. They not out here thugging and, you know, gang banging. So when they see all this violence and stuff going on, like, it's like a third world country to them, because they're not doing it. So them law-abiding citizens is gonna put you away. Don't do nothing in front of them. You're going to jail. You're going to jail, right? The next one, I see a lot of controversy about people who snitch. I don't have a take on snitching, but I am curious to know, do people find snitching morally wrong because it saves the face of the person who is snitches and throws another / other individuals under the bus? Or do people find it unethical because they believe the person should follow the code of society and not snitch in general? My last question is there any exceptions and or justification to snitching? Example, a man or a woman snitching because they have a lot of people that they think, they have a lot of people they would be leaving behind, kids, grandparents, in need of their care. In addition, could snitching be accepted / justified because the person knows for sure that they was not a part of any wrongdoing, and they know of the person who is trying to lie on them to save themselves, etc. Now, that was a lot. There is a lot of controversy around snitching, and I feel like, once again, the only time it's justified or can possibly be justified or kind of sweetened up and justified is when you are an eyewitness, as we established earlier in the video. If you're an eyewitness, no other reason. If me and you commit a crime together and I get caught, now is not the time to be thinking about my grandma that I'm taking care of, or the kids that I got on the way, or my mama who I financially support with my habits or whatever it is. Like, now is not the time. Because just like you have something to lose, you might feel like what I have to lose is way bigger than what you have to lose. But you can only measure something based off of your own feelings, emotions, and circumstances. So if the worst thing that ever happened to me is I was evicted, and there's somebody else who's been sexually assaulted, they've been kidnapped, they've been beat, like they've been all this other stuff, I can't fathom what they have to lose. I can only feel like being evicted was the worst thing that ever happened to me. So you can't feel someone else's shoes. You can only feel yours. You can feel it if you've been through it. Now, the person who's had all that happen to them can probably understand and sympathize with the fact that I've been evicted. But because their trauma is outside of the range of what I've been through, I can't understand that. So you can't get in this interrogation room and feel like what you have to lose is greater than what the next person has to lose, because what you have to lose is everything to you, and what they have to lose is everything to them. So it's not justifiable if y'all committed a crime together for you to throw this person under the bus to save yourself. Just don't commit crimes. Just go get you a job, like millions and millions of other American people who work hard every single day. There are millions of people who have never smoked a day in their life. There are millions of people who have never committed a crime. There are millions of people who are sober, don't know how it feels to be drunk. Like, there's millions of people who do what they're supposed to do on an everyday basis. Now, they got flaws. They do, you know, they probably nasty, rude, uncompassionate. Like, they're not perfect. But what I'm saying is there are millions of people who find a way to function without committing crimes. If you do not want to go to prison, stop committing crimes. Stop committing crimes, okay? When I was out there and I was fighting, I'm talking about fighting on every scene. Like, I'm talking about fighting. I done bust the windows out of people's house. I done keyed people's cars. I done spray painted people's cars. Like, I was out there just out there. I done flat tires, and all of this was people I was beefing with. I ain't never keyed no man's car. I ain't never bust out a man's windows. I ain't never bust out, you know, flat a man's tires. Relationship wise, all this I did because of people that I was beefing with and going through it with. So if I would have ended up going to jail for that, it is what it is. You know, I always knew it was a possibility that these people could call the police on me. So I would try to avoid fighting people that I felt like, oh, she gonna call the police, or, you know what I'm saying, this, that, and the third. I went to prison for trafficking in cocaine because of the person that I associate myself with. Now, I still feel like it had nothing to do with me because I didn't sell drugs, but I understand why I went to prison. I understand that me affiliating myself with somebody I knew was committing a crime because I knew he was. It's just I was naive back then, and I felt like just because I know you committing a crime, it ain't got nothing to do with me because I ain't committing it. So when it go down, that's on you. I knew that there was a possibility of his lifestyle sending him to prison. I just was naive to the fact that his lifestyle can also send me to prison because I'm affiliated with him and I'm around him and like we were in a relationship. But if you commit a crime and you end up in prison, you cannot, I do not feel like it's justified for you to throw somebody under the bus because you have something to lose. Everybody has something to lose. I may just have $1 to use, you may have $1 million to lose. But we both have something to lose. So you cannot feel like what you're going through is valid and what somebody else is going through is not valid. I can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna tell on you because I got a family and you don't got no kids. That does not justify it. But a person that has nothing to do with it and they witness something, I feel like that's okay. I feel like it's okay if you're somewhere, you see a crime, it happens, and you give your statement. Now, I wouldn't recommend, you know, you not feeling like ain't nobody gonna feel no type of way about you giving your statement, because it's always gonna be plenty of people who just as dumb as the day is long. Because I was one of them people, okay? Back then, if you gave a statement at all, I was like, oh, they telling, they this, they that. But now that I live a life that's not me running around crazy, I understand that there are people who want to be in peace. This is not, you know, Afghanistan. Thank God. Thank God. But I do feel like if it can be justified at all, it's people who don't have no part in any life of crime and they just so happen to witness something, or they see something happen to somebody and they want to do a good deed. Now, you also have people who tell because they just nasty. Okay? You have people who would just tell because they nasty and they want to see you right. It ain't even because they want to see the good in the community, or they want to, you know, help the community get rid of somebody they feel like is a bad person. You got people who just nasty and miserable and tell on you just because it make them feel better to see somebody demise. All right, the next one. I do not conform to this world. If I need to help someone or myself, I will. However, I will not do it at the expense of someone's safety or livelihood. I need to have this conversation orally. There's more I need to say with many other variables. I do not conform to this world. It is definitely a lot of people who conform. One thing that I went through when I was incarcerated, because I thought I had all the answers. I thought I knew everything. Nobody couldn't tell me nothing. You could not give me advice because my advice was superior. Like, the way I seen situations, my point of view was better than yours. Like, when people would give me their opinion, I used to be like, that sounds so damn dumb. Nobody could give me advice and opinions. I thought I was the end all be all. Like, I felt like I was the smartest and most logical, realistic person that ever walked the face of the earth. I felt like Solomon had nothing on me. Okay, I was wise. Everybody else was not. And it took me going to prison and realizing that my wise self still ended up in prison. So I had to undo a lot of things that I felt so strongly and such convictions on. I had to reevaluate that. And now I'm to the point where I know, even though I feel something, that does not make me right. I can wholeheartedly feel something and believe something and still be wrong. And it's a lot of people who feel like if they have a conviction that they're the truth, like that they're right. Just because they have a conviction, they feel that they're right. And I used to be that person, but now I know just because I feel something or I think something, that don't make me right. My mind is limited. It's limited to the knowledge I've applied to myself. It's limited to my circumstances and the way I've lived my life. It's limited to my exposure, my years of age, what I've ran into and what I've encountered, and that's for every single person. Your views are biased based off of you and your situations. There is so much information that will validate either side of any argument. There's information that will validate if snitching is good and if snitching is bad. No matter how you feel on anything, there is sufficient information that will support and justify any point of view. So just because you, oh, well, this has been proven time and time again in my life. Yeah, the contrary has too in someone else's life. So regardless, I'm giving my opinion on this situation, but it don't make me right. Like, everything I said in this and how I feel about Stitch, it don't make it right because, oh, I feel this way. And I'm smart enough to understand that. There's only one thing that you cannot bend me on that I feel like I'm right and nobody else can tell me. And that's about God and the fact that Jesus is his son and that he walked this earth in the flesh, that he was God in the flesh, that he died and he rose 3 days later. You can't convince me, but anything else, I can be convinced. Like, I will allow somebody to give their opinion and give me information, and I will allow you to challenge my belief. But my belief in the Savior is the only belief that you can't challenge. I'm sorry. Get somebody else to do it. If you want to talk about Jesus ain't real, go talk to somebody else, because I don't even want to entertain your conversation. All right. Next, I feel it's come down to your own freedom, life. You have to do what you have to do to save yourself. Other than that, if it has nothing to do with you, you then mind your business. Okay, so this person said they feel like when it comes down, you have to worry about your own freedom. The time to worry about your own freedom is not when the going get tough. The time to worry about if your smoke detectors work is not when the house is on fire. The time to worry about if your soul is where it need to be is not on Judgment Day. The time to worry about if you have the funds to raise a child is not when you find out that you're pregnant or your girlfriend's pregnant. The time to do this stuff is not when the going gets tough. The time is before, and what we do is we run around and all we do is manage chaos. Like, we make these decisions every single day, and then you just retroacting and trying to combat and be proactive when you run into the consequences. And it's like when you run into the consequences, you're like, oh, I can't believe I got there. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So the time to worry about your freedom is not when the police pick you up. The time to worry about your freedom is when you decide to make these choices to commit these crimes. If you're worried about your freedom, you should be worried about your freedom all the time. If you're worried about your smoke detectors working so that you don't burn up in the middle of the night, you need to worry about your smoke detectors all the time. Like, if you're worried about if you'll be able to be a good parent, you need to worry about that all the time. Don't worry about it when the going gets tough. So yes, it's about your freedom, but it should be about your freedom all the time. It shouldn't only be about your freedom when it's your freedom or somebody else's freedom. No, you should have been worrying about that. The next one says, I snitch with 3 exclamation points. However, if you did the crime with folks, then don't take the easy way out. Have some pride, honor, and principles about yourself. Do the time because you did the crime. Don't sell someone else out when you're just as guilty. But if you are innocent and your hands are clean and you're gonna get jammed up for some stuff you had no dealings with, just may be aware of snitch. Matter of fact, call the cops and give a tip first, LOL. I got to agree with them too. I'm not gonna say have some pride, or because they said if you did the crime, don't take the easier way out. Have some pride, some honor, and some principles about yourself. I would say principle. I wouldn't necessarily say honor or pride, but I feel like life is based off of principle. Principle to me is the simplest form of logic that there is. Like, do unto others as you should have others do unto you. It's just that simple. If you are getting ready to do something to somebody and you think about, if this person was doing this to me, how would I feel? If you wouldn't understand and be like, you know what, I will understand why they would do this, you have no business doing it. You have no business doing it. And in the situation that I brought up earlier where I said, if you're you know, driving the car. They jump in. You ain't know. You just heard the gun go off, and you realize that they, you know, unalived the person. And he said, call the cops and give a tip. If you gonna tell, that better be the way that you tell. Not when you get picked up. Not it's like, well, I hope we get away with it. Like, I hope my homeboy get away. Like, if you're going to tell, at least if you call and give that tip, that's because you really had no parts in it. And when this goes south, if this goes south, won't be me. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna let y'all know what time it is. It's still considered snitching, okay? But it's, to me, it's more understandable if you call and give a tip instead of waiting on them to catch you and then now you got to give up your homeboy, because now you're just doing it to save yourself. If you wait till you get caught, you're doing it to save yourself. And it's like the principle, like, your homeboy can't get mad if you pick up that phone later on and call and say, you know, Rodney was the one that did it. Like, he gonna feel some type of way, like, damn, soft nigga, like, he gonna feel some type of way. But at the end of the day, when he go up that road and he sit around and he think, he gonna realize that he was dead wrong for putting you in that situation. It's still snitching. It's just a softer form of snitching. Because you still gonna be considered a snitch. But I will understand why you did it. I will understand. I'll still probably call you a snitch, but I will understand why you called that tip line. Oh, Lord. And I didn't even mention the whole, somebody said Gunna didn't snitch yet. Honey, them celebrities ain't no different. Like, I seen people talking about, oh, I can't believe Gunna snitch. I can't believe Gunna snitch. And I seen this video that Boosie had made, and he was like, or a video or a tweet or something. But he was basically saying that people who said they can't believe Gunna is telling ain't really been a part of the streets. Like, you ain't been out there in the streets. You ain't seen this stuff enough, because just because he a rapper, he famous, and they produce this music talking about how hard they is, that don't make them hard. It's the same thing as somebody running around swearing they gangster, swearing they're thug. The same thing. Just because this man got this music and he act like a gangster, don't make him gangster. Or it don't make him solid. It don't make him hard. It don't make him real just because he's rapping these lyrics. So when Boosie said, y'all ain't been in the streets, I can tell. Because when they said Gunna told, I was like, like, what surprises me when somebody don't tell? Because out of all the people, out of 100 people, each one of them getting cased up, you might have like 3 to 5 that don't tell, that keep it solid. Like, it's not something that's like a lot of people. So it's like they talk about, oh, this culture is like, you know what I'm saying, it's ruining us. The no snitching, baby, they is telling. I don't know how many people y'all know that's not telling, but majority of the people is telling. So what's ruining our society and what's ruining the culture is not the snitches get stitches rule, because ain't nobody really following that. You got some people who follow it. You got some people who will hurt you if you snitch. But for the most part, honey, they is telling. And ain't nobody doing nothing to them. So the snitches get snitches code is not ruining the streets, because people, they is still telling. Snitches not getting stitches. They telling. And then it's so bad, well, you would hear a person tell or know they told, and then it's like they come home and people treat them the same. They still hang with them, go out with them, be on the block with them, still do business with them, still call them cub, bruh, that's my round, like still taking pictures, holding hands, you know, like post it up. That's still their homie. And the whole county know that they told. The whole Tri-County area know that they told. And they still dap them up. So, honey, listen, I don't live that life no more. But if you out here telling, I don't want no dealings with you. And it's not even because I feel like snitches get stitches. I just do not like the type of person that will throw somebody under the bus to save themselves, and you know you out here living that life. Like, you've been selling drugs for how long? Like, you've been robbing people for how long? Like, you've been scamming people for how long? And it's like, when you get caught, you just telling somebody. I don't like that mentality. Like, I don't trust a person like that. I do not trust a person that knows what's at stake, and then when what's at stake comes to collect, you like, oh no, just go ahead and take him. Like, yeah, you can get him. Go ahead and, yeah. Because it was a CI that set up my co-defendant, and I went to prison. And I know exactly who set me up. Like, I know who set him up and was the reason why I went to prison. I know. I haven't told anybody, but I know who it was. So if you watching this, I know it was you. God bless you. All right, we're going to do a few more of these because it's almost been an hour. I thought it was going to be hard for me to get on here and talk to y'all, but this is a very interesting topic. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do next. Like, hopefully, you know, as this expands and it gets, you know, I get a little more skin in the game, I can have somebody sit on this couch with me, because ain't nothing like a good live debate. Nothing like it. And I love to debate. When I was in prison, I went and I took creative writing, right? And I am a certified freelance writer, and we had to do a debate. So we had so many different topics, and with the debate, they give you topics like, let's just say the snitching topic, right? So it'll be like, okay, topic number 1 is snitching. Now you have to get all this information on snitching, and then at the last minute, they tell you if you're going to be battling pro or con. So you don't know which side of the fence you're going to be arguing. You just know what topic you're going to be arguing, and then they tell you at the last minute, you have to be for it, you have to be against it. And I did so well, they gave me a certificate. And out of all the years they did that class in prison, that was the first time they gave somebody a certificate, because I was just that good, like, because I was that girl. So I love a good debate. All right, next. I know people who snitch, made a deal with the DA, and then the judge says hell no to the deal. This is a good one. And the judge says hell no to the deal, and they have to do all that time. The police job is to solve the cases and what they get paid for. Why should I do it for them? At the same time, if telling will help you come early, why not tell? I am trying to come to my family ASAP so I can be with my family. At the end of the day, you have to make the best decision for you and your family. We're going to go from the back on up. The best decision for you and your family is not to be committing crimes. I am going to stand by that. Whether I'm just closed-minded, whether I sound foolish, I'm going to stand beside that. The time for you to worry about your family is when you decide to commit crimes, not when you get caught up for your crimes. If you're worried about your family, if you're worried about your freedom, don't commit crimes. Like, just don't commit a crime. Some people, that's all they know. Like, I know a lot of people who struggle with, you know, the life of crime, especially with, because most crimes, there's fast money. Like, it's a turnaround. You go rob somebody and you get 5 bands, and that robbery took you 30 minutes. You just made 30 bands. I mean, you just made 5 bands in 30 minutes. Ain't no job got no return like that. So there is a lot of fast money, and it's a lot of people who have been like committing crimes for so long that I know personally, family members, people I was locked up with, and they were so used to the fast money that it's hard for them to go work a job and have to wait on a check every week or every 2 weeks when they can get instantly paid. So I know me saying don't commit a crime, like just don't commit crimes, is like so easy for me to say, because when I was out there fighting and living crazy, it wasn't just easy for me to just stop fighting. It wasn't just easy for me to just stop acting like that, because it was a natural reaction. Like, that's who I was. Like, that's who I allowed myself to become. So it wasn't easy for me. There was plenty of times I wanted to just walk away, and it was like so much pride swelled up inside of me that pride controlled me. So I know it's not so simple for me to just be like, don't commit any crimes. I know that. But at the end of the day, we have to be logical about the situation. If you do not want to go to prison, if you don't want to go to jail, if you cannot do any jail time, don't commit crimes. It is not okay for you to know you can't do no time, to know you can't accept the fact that you're going to have to leave your family, but still go out there and commit crimes and just have an exit plan. Like, I'm just going to tell on somebody when I get caught. No. And she said, at the end of the day, you have to make the best decision for you and your family. Don't commit a crime. Because what about the best decision for somebody else's family? Like, the decision that needs to be made with one with principle. If I willingly do something, I willingly accept the consequences that come behind it. Like, I'm on probation and I have a curfew at 10 o'clock. If I willingly am not home at 10 o'clock, I am willingly accepting the fact that I'm going back to prison. So every single time, and that's the way I operate in my mind, so that I don't tell myself, oh, well, you know, maybe just this one time I won't get caught. I willingly accept the fact that every time I do not abide by a clause of my probation, I'm going back to prison. And what people do is you live this life and you never think about what could happen. And then when it happens, you want to try to find a way out. No, the way out is just not even to go in. And then it says at the same time, if telling will help you come home early, why not? Because you could just not do the crime. Now, I know once you've done the crime and you already incarcerated, everybody wants to go home early. I wanted to go home early. I filed every motion, appeal, everything that I could except a clemency to come home. A sentence reduction. I tried to go to boot camp. They denied all of it. So when you get back behind them gates, you do want to come home. You do. But you should use that time to remind yourself when you get your freedom not to do anything that can put you back in there. And that's the way I live my life. I do not want to go to prison. I remember every single emotion, everything I went through. And a lot of people feel like I should just let it go and just move on and live my life. No, ma'am. I purposely remember everything I went through in prison because I don't want to return. So I live my life with those memories that if I fall to the wayside or I fall off track, that will be my future. That will be what is coming next. So prison is here in my life, and this is where I'm at. And if I act like I forgot what happened here, prison will be over here in my life as well. Now, the part that I want to touch on, and we're going to leave it here, okay, is she said, I know people who snitch, made a deal with the DA, which is the district attorney, and then the judge says, hell no to the deal, and they have to do all that time. Honey, that happens. And it happens quite often. So the mistake that some people make, a lot of people make, because you don't know what goes on in the system if you've never been through the system. I ain't know. I was naive. I learned as I went. Now, I can tell you a little bit more about the system now because I've already been through it. But while I was going through it, or when I first got introduced to it, I had no idea. And when it comes to you giving a statement and agreeing with the DA to do anything, you need that in writing. You need them to bring you an offer and you need to sign it before anything else happens. And a lot of people, they don't. They just take the district attorney's word at face value. And you cannot do that. Because if you agree with if the district attorney, the DA come to you and they're like, okay, we're going to give you 5 years of probation if you tell us who really shot the cashier, right? And you like, okay, I'm good with that. You go to telling them everything. They get they get you to write out your statement. They get you to sign it and all that, blah, blah, blah. Now, they take this statement, they go pick up whoever you said actually shot the cashier. They start processing charges on them. And guess what they tell you? That you have to sign an open plea to the judge. Now, the thing about an open plea to the judge, and they get so many people like this, they tell you, you tell on this person and you sign an open plea to the judge, and I'll have the judge, I'll recommend that you get 5 years on probation. Right? But they don't tell you this beforehand. They go ahead and get your statement. They have you sign it. And then after you sign it, you're like, okay, where my deal at? They like, okay, you sign an open plea to the judge and I'll recommend the 5 years. That word recommend, that is all that they can do. When it comes to losing trial or signing an open plea, because when you sign an open plea, you basically plea in no contents of guilty, and you're saying I'm guilty and sentence me to what you feel is best, sentence me to what you feel is justified. You're signing the paperwork that you're guilty and that you need to be sentenced. Now, if your max is 30 years, the judge has the power to give you anywhere from your minimum to your max. If you have no minimum, they can give you from 1 year all the way to 30. It's up to the judge. A recommendation from the state means absolutely nothing. That is just a recommendation. The judge will sentence you the way they see fit. So people, if you do decide to tell, okay, don't be a foolish snitch. If you decide to tell, make them people bring you your paperwork, bring you your plea, and sign that plea before you tell them anything. Sign that plea. If they tell you they're going to give you 5 years on probation, make them go type up that plea agreement, read it, and sign it before you tell them anything. And the thing about it, if you just must snitch, if you just must tell, please get a deal that at least you're satisfied with. Don't let them people tell you, oh, the best I can do is give you 10 years. Oh, I can't go below 15 years. Yes, they can. They can literally let you go home. They can let you walk out of that door. So if they try to come to you and be like, oh, you know, these 10 years, this is the best that I can do, sign this 10-year plea agreement, they playing with you. They can literally let you go home. They can drop all charges for your testimony. They can do what they want to do. They can use you for their benefit. So once again, how I feel about people that snitch, I feel like it's a self-preservation tactic, and I feel like it's a self-preservation tactic, and I don't feel like, I don't like it. I don't like the fact that someone will try to save themselves and sink somebody else. Because if self-preservation is really the goal, if saving yourself is really the goal, save yourself entirely. Don't do no crimes at all. Like, don't be in that lifestyle if you cannot do no time. If you cannot do no time, do not do no crime. But don't do the crime and then get in there and start telling on people, because that's just a no-no. That is just a no-no. That's my take on it. Now, eyewitness testimony, hey, it's still considered snitching to some people, but that is more understandable. If you witness something and you tell on somebody, that's more understandable than you getting caught up with somebody and you telling on them because you feel like you got something to lose, and what they got to lose means nothing. But that is all I have. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. It was actually an hour. I did not think I was going to be able to sit on here and talk for an hour. That was the Real with the Rulaa hour. Our next topic, we're going to talk about gender roles and what a woman and what a man is supposed to bring to the table, as well as the dating scene and how it has changed over the years. So y'all stay tuned. I will post a post because, once again, I do love having y'all input, and I will try to get a guest on the couch for this next one. I can't make no promises, but I'm gonna try to get us a guest. I appreciate y'all and all the support. Until next time.